Hi, my name is Steve, and I'm going to take you through the exciting new updates to the Score platform. We've been listening to all the feedback you've been giving us, and this update will provide better and more efficient ways to find the questions you need for your project, faster ways to build and save your own custom tables, improved visuals and layouts throughout the platform, increased information on how to best use the platform. Let's take a look at custom tables. The first time you navigate to the custom tables, you'll be greeted with the welcome screen, which gives you access to several options. Set up a new custom table allows you to create your custom table from scratch. This will give you a table that looks something like this. You can choose to load a saved table you've created in a previous session, which is a feature we'll come back to later, or you can view the latest questionnaire PDF. The table setup has now been moved into a step-by-step wizard, which makes it even easier to use. What we're going to do now is create a brand new table from scratch. When I click on Set up a new table, I'm taken to the new page, which gives me the summary of all the steps we're going to go through whilst creating our table. The next page provides several different ways to refine the list of questions in the platform through search criteria. You don't have to use any of these search criteria if you want to see the full question list. As you choose your search criteria, you'll be able to see a live question count in the top right-hand corner, showing you how many questions fit your selection. There are two tabs on this page with different search criteria selections, and they're all interactive, so selecting a criteria on one tab may reduce the options available on another. The Question Topics tab leverages AI to code up the questionnaire to allow for topic-based searching. There are two levels to the code frame. The left table is top-level groupings. By selecting one or more of the top-level groupings, you can see this reduces the second box to the expanded level groupings to just the relevant subcategories. You can select multiple categories by holding Control and clicking on two or more categories, or by clicking and dragging. If you would like to explore the code frame to see what categories we have and their descriptions, use the Explore Code Frame feature. In this view, you can see the code frame as a whole, including descriptions of what each code explores and excludes. You can use the filter drop-down to drill into the top-level groupings. When you have finished, you can use the Return button to return to the table setup screen. The Additional Search Criteria tab provides time-based search criteria to help narrow down to a relevant period. The first criteria allows you to select just the new questions from this week, or see whether questions have stayed on from previous weeks. The next criteria allows you to filter down based on how long it's been since the question was last asked. For instance, if you only want to look at questions that have been asked in the last year, you can do that by selecting just the top 4 options. If trends are important to you, the next criteria allows you to search based on how frequently a question has been asked since the study began. Or for seasonal trends, you might want to use the bottom 2 search criteria to see questions that were asked in specific months or across specific years, such as Valentine's Day or Black Friday. I'm going to take a look at just the questions that have always been asked, so I'm going to unselect all of the other options here. And I've got 30 questions available in the top right-hand corner. On the next page, you'll be able to select the specific questions you'd like to analyse based on the result from the filtering you've done on the previous page. At any point, if you would like to change the filters you selected previously, you can use the back button in the bottom left-hand corner. You can narrow down the list using the text search feature. By default, this only searches the full question text. If you'd like to include the option text in your search, tick this box here. Some questions are quite long, so if you'd like to see the full question text, you can hover over to see that in a tooltip. Or if you'd like to see the full text for several questions at a time, use the Explore Questionnaire button in the bottom of the screen. but we'll come back to that later. When you've found the questions you want to analyse, select them in the left-hand box and use the Add button to add them to the final selection on the right. If you'd like to remove them, you can either highlight an option and click Remove, or just remove all and start again. Let's explore the questionnaire. Here you can see the questionnaire in full, along with other details around the questions, such as when they were last asked, how many times they've been asked, and the base size for that question. You can use the drop down at the top to either see this as total base size ever collected, or see it split out by weeks. By using the Search Questionnaire feature at the top, you can access all the same filter options you had on the previous screen, so you can drill down to the same options. When you've found the questions you're interested in analysing on the Search Questions box, press the Apply button. When happy with this, tick Use these questions in custom tables to be taken back to the custom tables screen with those questions pre-selected in the right-hand box. Now we're going to build our column splits. We have several different options on how you can split your data. If you'd just like to see the total data for a question with no splits, leave both of these boxes empty. If you would like to split your data, you can pick the questions you'd like to split by in the left-hand box. These are the same list of breaks that are available across the deep dives and the top lines dashboards, as well as what's available in the filter selection. You can reduce this list using the category filter, or by typing into the text search box. If you'd like to see several data splits side by side, you can do this by adding them to the top box. I'm going to select age and gender for this. This will give you a table that would look something like this. If you would like to add an extra split underneath those, you can then use the second box. I'm going to add in SEG. This will give me a table that looks something like this. If you'd like more details on the breaks that are available, you can use the Explore Breaks view here. Here you can see all the questions that are available as cross breaks, the full question text, and the options for each of those. You can filter this down using the drop down in the top. When you've finished, use the Return button to return to the table builder. Now I've made my selections, I can move on to the final screen. Before running the table, you get a summary of what you've selected at each of the previous stages. If you'd like to edit your selection, you can do this by either using the Back button, selecting the relevant page in the breadcrumb trail, or using the Edit button next to the specific section you would like to edit. If you'd like to, you can use the Start Over button to reset everything and go back to this first stage. But if you're happy with your table, you can click Finish to run it. Once my table has run, I'll be brought back to the table viewer. Here I can see the questions I've run with the splits that I selected in the previous menus. If I'd like a reminder of what I'd selected, I can see a summary of the table selection by clicking on the eye icon next to the custom table setup. When a question has low bases, the cells will be highlighted in pink. The low base flag is set to be 100 by default, but you can now change this using the drop-down selector for the minimum base here. If you'd like to see the actual base for the question, this can now be found via the Table Metric drop-down. Choose Total Weight to see the full base size for each of the questions you've selected. Choose Weighted Option Counts if you'd like to see the raw values behind each option. If you tend to export these to do any calculations with them, such as combining them, we highly recommend you change the number of decimal places to all decimal places to make sure you get the most accurate results as possible. As with every table on the portal, if you then wanted to export this to get your numbers out, you can right-click anywhere on the table, export, and export as table, and this will download it as a CSV file for you. If you'd like to highlight some cells sitting underneath a specific break or specific rows, you can click on the column header here and select Mark Values. This will highlight everything in that section. If I hold Control and do this on a row header as well, I can see where those two values intersect. Once you're finished with the table, you have a few options on what you can do next. These can either be found in the custom table setup or using the quick access buttons on the right-hand side. I'm going to go back into the custom table setup screen. I now have two new options in this screen. I can edit my current custom table. If I'd like to retain some of the current setup but change some features, I can select this option. This takes me back to the final summary page where I can select the options I'd like to change. For our newest feature, I can now save my current custom table. In this view, once I've created my table, I can give it a name. I can then choose whether to share this table with other people in my organization or whether I'd like to keep it private. And I can choose whether I'd like to keep the question selection down the side, whether I'd like to save the column splits across the top, or whether I'd like to do both. In this case, I'm going to save both of them. On the next screen, I can then see a summary of what I've decided to save, and I'm going to save my table. I could also have accessed this feature using the Quick Save button on the right-hand side. If I go back into my custom table setup, once I've saved a table, I can now access that via the Load Previously Saved Custom Table button. Here I'll get a drop-down of all of the tables that I've created. I can select my table, apply it, and then I'll get taken straight to the summary screen where I can see a summary of what I'm about to run. And in this case, I could choose to go back to edit it, or I can just run it as it is. The filter panel has also been updated to make it easier to navigate. This includes the improved list of filters in our latest update. The filters have been split out into tabs to make for ease of searching. You can still select filters across multiple tabs. As you filter, the count in the top right-hand corner will change to show a live count of the number of respondents who have answered accordingly. The filter description at the top will also update. If the filter description gets too long, you'll see this note telling you more filters have been applied. Clicking on this will bring up a pop-up box with the full description. If you would like to save your filter, you can still use the Save As feature. In this screen, I can now name my filter. I can choose whether other people in my organization can see it or whether it's private, and I can see a summary of the filter that I've selected. When I hit Next, I get a quick summary of everything that I've selected on the previous screen, and I can then save my filter. This will save and apply the filter to my dataset. If I need to remind myself of what filters I've selected whilst I'm on this view, I can click on Show Current Filter, and this will open a pop-up box with that full description of the filter that I have created. From the filter screen, I can also apply a saved filter. I can see a list of all the filters that I've created. I can select my new filter and press Apply. And this will load my filter selection. Before I apply this, I'm still able to make changes, and then when I'm happy, I can apply that. That's everything for now, but we have more features coming to the platform over 2024. Please keep sending your feedback and ideas. Thank you for listening.